All right, so let's introduce everybody. We got the lovely Jason Spencer again, part owner of Garrett Auto and Truck, 20-year veteran. We got Jody, who's been with us since April, right? Yep, he came. Right. What's that?
That is right.
Yes, thank you. I'm always right. Just ask me. Don't you want social media? We got Nick, who's been with us for how long, Nick?
February will be 3 years.
3 years. 3 years of abuse.
Yeah.
All right. We have Lincoln Brown, who's been with us 18 years. He's 18 years old. Everybody pretty much remembers when he was a baby. Some of us remember when he was swimming my balls.
That is a true statement.
Yeah. Then we have Phil. He's the head service advisor. You can't see his slacks. They do have stained knees. So, yeah, right. So let's just get right into all the fun stuff. So I think let's start out lightly. Let's go around the table and tell us one thing we fucked up. So I'll start out with, a few years ago, we were down at Tech and we needed a brake job done on Michigan MI Pro Tech, right? Yep. You told me. It was a brand new newer Transit, and I did front brakes on it, and it came back the next day making a noise. So I came into the shop, and Jason's like, I came out walking out with a guy, and Jason pulled it down. I'm like, what's up with it? And he's like, it's making noise. I'm like, what? He's like, the bolt. I'm like, what? He's like, bolt. So I'm like, sir, come on up front. So that's when I learned that there's torque to yield bolts back then. That was like when it was brand new, and these guys ran their vans a lot. So a lot of these trucks we weren't seeing before the warranty ran out. Mm-hmm. So there wasn't a lot of service information on for us to understand that they were torque to yield bolts. So that was my screw up. So
in 20 years, I have a lot of screw ups, but some of the ones that stick out are spring pins on a semi. Sometimes you got to ream the bushing, sometimes you don't. Well, you never want to just hammer the pin in there because it gets halfway in there and then you can't get the pin back out. Then I screwed up multiple wheel seals on one truck. I think I went through 4 wheel seals on one truck. Not a good day. But it happens, and you move on and learn from them.
Yep. Jody, what do you got?
Oh, boy. When I first started here, it was first experience ever working on a lift gate. So I came in, customer complained that it wasn't working. Kevin, brought me through it, taught me, how the system works. He told me, it's going to need a new pendant. It's going to need new rail switches, safety switches. And I didn't realize that one of the rails were bent, not allowing it to go down the entire way. I did, I think, like 12 hours worth of work. I did a bunch of stuff to that truck. And it left for Motor City to have some other stuff done on the box. And when I took the access panel off, I locked the lift gate or the roll-up door. The
strap.
The strap got locked in the access panel. And come Monday, it was not a good Monday. I got yelled at. Wasn't too long, but I got the point across. I got told I can't be making these mistakes for what I'm making, and I have to kind of pull my head out of my ass, but not the exact same words, but kind of around that.
Seems to be some kind of word track. Somebody said that a lot. So
there was another one, Freight Watch. I was doing some electrical work. It came in weeks before. Came in for a DOT, wrote it up for a bunch of stuff. They took it to a different shop, and they brought it back, and they were like, hey, we want the DOT. It passes now. Well, one of the lights wasn't working on the turn signal. The mirror light wasn't working. After probably 2.5 hours of chasing my tail, figuring out what's going on, like I thought there was a broken wire, I asked Jason, I'm like, hey, what do you think? He comes over, grabs my test light, and he's like, can you turn the mirror heaters on? And I turn it on, turn signal stays on. And then he tells me to turn the turn signal on, and then the mirror heater is blinking on and off. So the dude who put the mirror on originally swapped the wires, and I chased my tail for about 2.5 hours trying to figure out what happened there. But those are probably my 2 biggest mistakes that I've learned a lot from.
I see what you're doing here. You're not only telling a bad story about yourself, you're also kissing ass. You're making Jason, we call it lifting Jason up.
Listen, I got to make him feel good too,
Yeah. Yeah, we always try to make each other feel good because we don't get treated at home like we're all abused husbands.
That is true.
So, all right, Nick, what do you got?
I don't think I messed anything up. No, I'm just kidding. I can't really think of anything other than everyone knows me as the infamous ball joint guy now, or tie rod end guy. I'm sorry, Cotter Key, my nickname now. From my perspective on that story is truck came in with the studs were all sheared off except for one. So I inspected the front end, trying to figure out why the stud sheared off. It's not something that just happens. So I checked out the front end. I'm checking the tie rods, and I see that the one's loose. I'm like, okay, tie rod's loose. And then I look at it as I'm wiggling it, and I saw that the nut was loose. And I'm like, okay, so I tightened it snug. I'm gonna say not a proper torque, obviously. I tightened it and then rechecked it to see if the play was just in that nut or if it was in the socket itself, and it was just in the nut. So I'm like, okay, well, probably should replace the tie rod anyway. So that's when I wrote it for a tie rod end. And then, wrote it for a couple other things. The guy declined everything other than the wheel studs. So I went ahead and did the wheel studs. Didn't even think at the time to go back and fork that nut on the tie rod properly and put a cotter key in it just as the right thing to do, like everyone's been saying. I was already there. I was doing the studs. It would have taken me no extra time, blah, blah, blah. So I definitely, looking back on that, I learned a lot from that, especially as much as it's blowing up on the internet. Like, I should have definitely just took an extra step, and put that in there. It would have been a no-brainer, but it just didn't. It wasn't that I intentionally wasn't like, oh, I'm not getting paid. First of all, I'm not a flat rate guy. I'm an hourly guy. But it wasn't, my mindset wasn't, oh, it was declined. I'm not going to put a cotter key in because he didn't want it. My mindset was, oh, I didn't even think about it. I'm going to just throw the wheel studs in, get the wheels and tires on. Everything's good. Drive it down the road because that's what he was wanting. I didn't even think to go back and look at the nut again and, restart and go put the cotter key in, make sure that was all good. That was just me being neglectful, I guess you could say. So that's my take on it.
Your defense, okay, yes, you had your head up your ass, no doubt about it. But that was an old ass truck, okay? There was some culpability on this fucking alcoholic here. Basically, like, the guy declined the tie rod and stuff like that. So I might have told the story a little bit. Like I said, he declined tightening the nut. I made that mistake. But we put wheels on there, right? Well, people are like going, why would you put wheels on there? Because the fucking holes in the wheels were oblong.
Yeah, they were. And come to find out, that's the more I thought about it after the fact, being that there wasn't really a whole lot wrong with the front end, everything seemed to be pretty tight. The only conclusion I could come up with was that maybe somebody left a lug nut loose or a couple of them loose, and it started rocking the wheel. It rocked all of them loose. They started shearing off. But yeah, every hole in the wheel was, oval shape, and the wheels definitely need to be replaced. I've never seen 7 out of 8 studs shear off and the front end be as tight as it was. There's like nothing else found that was majorly wrong, saying, oh, wow, like that's what caused this. I was like kind of dumbfounded that happened like that.
Right, and then it goes to the guy's apartment.
Yep.
The tie rod falls off.
Yep.
Jason, I'm not there. Jason sends you guys out there with the tie rod, right?
Yep.
You put a tie rod in.
Yep, put a new end on it.
You bring it back and line it. Put the cotter key in, tighten it back up, take it back in there.
Yep.
We go back out. The ladies starts to give me questions. We paid her back for the tow call and stuff like that.
Yep.
That was the whole thing about that particular clip was we were talking about running your business correctly so you could afford when you screw up to pay to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
People forgot all that. There wasn't a lot of context. Like I didn't deep dive in it. I got flamed. So Jeff, Jada Mechanic, Jeff Conn, who I was friends with, me and him get along just fine behind the scenes. He basically made 2 mistakes in that thing. I made one mistake, and I admit to it, and he made one mistake. He did it because he's an advocate for technicians on flat rate. Every flat rate technician in the world gets taken advantage of. Okay, just ask them all. Okay, quite frankly, a lot of them are fucking crybabies. Okay, bottom line, I'm going to get flamed for that, but a lot of them are crybabies. You can't do anything right as a shop owner, whatever. Okay, but I called them up and I said, okay, I'm going to go ahead because I don't ever go back and forth with these guys online. Because they're looking at my stuff and they're wanting to flame me. I'm not going to argue back and forth. That's not something I'm interested in. Okay? Because nobody's right on the internet. Just ask everybody. You know, and I've learned that from social media. So I call him up. I'm like, yo, what's up? He's like, nothing. I'm like, I'm not mad about that post. I said, I'll take a little bit of that. I said, the service advisor had a little bit to do with that. Me thinking that you wrote it up to tighten the nut up, not sell him a tie rod. He declined the tie rod. We had a disclaimer on there, blah, blah, blah. I will stand by my original thing. My thought to that is if you're a technician, mechanic, whatever you want to call yourself, like all these guys online saying, fuck that, decline, not touching it. Not touching, not working for free. Jeff said, basically, I wanted you to take the liability for the shop. Paraphrasing a little bit, I might be a little bit off. No, I want you to look out for people on the road, my family, your family. You've got to remember something. A lot of these vehicles that come in and out of our shops travel through our neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. We're a local business, okay? So think about this. You got flat rate guys going, don't work for free, don't give a shit, not tighten up, customer declined it. Let's just go ahead and let's go to court. And I asked Jeff this. I said, so in Michigan, I don't know where you live, in Michigan, there's a thing called potholes. They're like almost to the center of the earth in Michigan.
Yep.
I said, when you take a nut off of a tie rod and the tie rod is stuck in the steering knuckle, because there's a wedge, it's blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to get into the technical. Here comes the engineers. What do you do when the tie rod won't come off or your pickle fork don't work? You shock it. Pop! Off it comes. I said, would you agree, going down the road, if that nut was loose or falling off and you hit a pothole, would the shock make that tie rod drop out of there? He said, absolutely. I said, so then you go across the road into the other lane because the tie rod came off and you hit a family of 6 in a minivan on the way to Thanksgiving dinner and you kill a whole family. Was that worth you as a flat rate tech standing your ground going, don't work for free, not tightening the nut?
Right.
Okay, me, I'm going to stand by this. You're an asshole if you're not going to tighten the nut because you're trying to prove a point because you don't like your employer, you're going to kill somebody's family. And I asked you guys that very question, and when I said to you, when I found out about the whole thing, I said, you had your head up your fucking ass. You're like, yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Okay? People are like, he's terrible. He abuses the frickin' technicians. He does this. No, I call it as I see it. And like I told you earlier, me saying you had your head up your ass, okay? That's baby shit compared to what your dad says. Yeah. They don't know your dad.
No.
They don't know.
He's a great guy, but yeah, he'll tell you like it is. That's how it goes.
Right.
And I will say, how is that not the mechanic taking reliability for the shop? I mean, that dude writes your paycheck every week. You're working there because he has all the risk, and you're not going to save his shop
right.
for not tightening a freaking nut up and putting a cotter key
right.
in it. You'd rather have the whole company go under and you and not have a job.
Right.
I remember when it happened and I found out the next day or two or whatever that it all happened because of that. I felt bad, not because, I know I'm going to get yelled at. I felt bad because I knew that I messed up right away. I knew that I should have, I remember tightening that. I know I didn't torque it and I know I didn't put a cotter key in, and I admitted that. And I said, it was 100%. I definitely should have done that. And I just was focusing more on other things at the time. And, that's why I felt bad. I didn't feel bad because I was going to get yelled at. I knew I was going to get yelled at, and it comes with the job. It's not really getting yelled at. It's just how it goes. You learn from that. You don't. If you would have said, "Oh, you'll do better next time," I would have taken it a little lighter, and maybe next time I wouldn't think about it as much. But now that it's ingrained into my brain now, for sure. Everything, I'm going to drill a hole and put a cotter key in if there ain't no cotter key. So
right, and people are like, "Oh, Kevin doesn't know that it's a wedge socket," and here comes everybody telling me all that. I don't want to hear any of that shit. My whole thing was, you guys know me good enough to know if a guy's tie rod was dangerous, I would write a fucking check to put a tie rod on a guy's truck if he couldn't do it, just to keep us out of trouble. Yeah. I don't want people to die. Okay. We all make a good living. That's what we do. We don't want to ever ruin or tarnish our name. We're the most expensive shop around. We do shit the right way. So let's go back to this. So we don't tighten it up. He declines it. You're the flat rate tech. I don't give a shit. I don't get paid. I'm not doing it. The tie rod goes off. The truck goes across the lane, crosses the center line, kills people. you go to court as a flat rate tech, not you, Nick, as a flat rate tech, the guys that gave me the response back to my post are saying, yeah, I'm not getting paid to do it. I ain't tightening. That's a liability. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. Don't you think if a judge looked at you and goes, you're a professional technician, you know that could possibly kill somebody. Why didn't you tighten up? It was declined. Customer said it was, they declined it. Service advisor didn't tell them anything. That's on them. Well, you're the professional technician. I don't give a shit. I didn't tighten up, didn't get paid. How do you think that lawsuit's going to go? Versus, well, Your Honor, it was declined. I told the service advisor it was declined. We put a note on it that I tightened the nut up, put the cotter key in it, trying to make it as safe as possible. It happened. I did my job. They declined it. We put a disclaimer on the repair order. They declined it, but I still put the cotter key and tightened the nut. Why would I leave the nut loose and no cotter key when that's two things I could do to maybe ensure that somebody doesn't get hurt? Wouldn't that sound a lot better than versus going, I'm flat rate. Dealer's dicking me. I got to do DBIs for free, so I'm definitely not going to do that for free. No, hear me now. I don't want anybody to work for free, and you're hourly.
Right.
That was the other thing he said. I wanted a flat rate tech to work for free. How many times have I asked you to work for free over the years?
None.
I'm pretty much on it. Have I ever asked you to work for free?
Never.
What do I always say? Write it down so you can charge for it. That's just the way it is. You guys get paid by what you do. Okay? So that was my whole thing on that. That was my whole take, was a safety issue. Because literally, if I had to pull $100 out of my pocket and buy a tie rod, Phil, would I?
Yeah.
Okay? And Phil said something that people, I think they underestimated. He said to me in the last podcast, he's like, I don't think people understand how freaking savage he is or how stringent he is. What was the word about how I want everything done top tier at our shop? What was your wording on that?
Wish I could remember. It was really
Meticulous?
You basically said that I am like,
Was it meticulous?
no, I have
like that.
I have strict policies and procedures, and like I want top notch work out of our
How
shop.
serious you take your work and how you want the shop's reputation to be upheld because we have to be the best. Something like that. Something
Yeah,
like that.
I mean, I just over and over again over the years. Like I came in that day after that Thanksgiving, and I asked Jason, and I'm like, okay, what would you do? He's like, looks at me, he's like, fucking really, bro? He's like, I would have put a cotter key and tightened it up, and never even fucking mentioned it. He's like, that's just the way it is. And you know, the funny thing is, a lot of the older technicians on that thread, if you look at it, they're like, tighten the fucking nut up and put a cotter key in and get on with your life. And then it was the young guys that are struggling with flat rate, and because basically they're the win a trophy guy. Now here comes the people going, who gave us the trophies? It's your guys' fault. You're the parents. You gave us the trophies. You made us this way. I'm like, oh my God, we can't win.
Yep.
So anyway, that's all I want to say about the tie rod. I appreciate you having the courage, Superman, to
Yeah,
come out
I mean,
there and put it out
I'll
there.
admit anytime I'm wrong.
Yeah.
You know, we all make mistakes. We're only human. It's only a matter of time before Elon gets robots working to do mechanic stuff. But until then, here we are.
Hey, way to fucking memorize that and say exactly what I told you to say. Good job.
Yeah. Please don't hit me.
And I will say, if tie rods are that bad, we've had them towed out. Like, we won't let them drive them.
Yeah, and fights.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Lincoln, give us something. Something you did wrong.
I think the biggest thing I did is, I think it was when I forgot what job it was on, but I checked in the parts without verifying that the parts were actually there. And for everybody just watching this, what I do up front can't affect the back, because it can't affect, Jason. It was on Jason, and it did affect Jason because he's on flat rate. I forgot what exactly part it was, but basically I went through the whole procedures that Phil showed me, except one. Not on you, it was on me though. But the way the system works is, we get the paper, the invoice, and then we receive the parts, and we're supposed to go out there, check in the parts before we actually receive it into our system, because it flows into QuickBooks. Well, I just checked it in without actually going out there and checking in the parts, and I got my ass reamed out for it, and it was a great learning experience. I mean, that's the best way to put it, is like it definitely wasn't great in the moment that I got my ass reamed, but looking back on it now, it's like, okay, was I a dumbass? Yes. But can I learn from it? Yes. Another thing I fucked up was I think it was the D&K invoice. I think it was like my third weekend. It was a large invoice.
Oh my God.
It was a large invoice, and
Was in QuickBooks 7 times.
I just freaking received the whole thing because, like, you know, obviously some parts will be on back order, or some parts will need to be shipped in, and then some of the parts will be on one invoice and then the next. So you have to like zero out the received for the one part. So, you know, everything flows into QuickBooks properly when you properly receive the parts. Well, I don't know what the fuck I did, but I must have fucked it way up. I fat fingered it or something. It was like, I think it was like what, $1,500 or something, something to that extent. And I fucking clicked received.
Instead of zeroing out the amount of parts you received,
I
you
think
zeroed out the cost. So we received the parts at $0. So the inventory showed we had the parts, even though.
Oh, it's so fucked up. But that was fucked because it went into the back office, and then I had to go tell HR, and that, yeah.
HR's your mom.
Yeah, I heard about it the whole night. It wasn't just at Garrett's. It was at home.
So just to put this in context, does your mom ever yell at you or say you're a dumbass or anything like that?
Yeah.
I just want to make sure. I want the listeners.
Yeah.
I want the listeners to hear that I'm not the only guy that yells at me.
No, it's not just you. It's her too. I mean, more than likely so. She's not more of like, you know, you speak the truth. She's kind of laid back, but if you fuck something up to a certain extent, she will tell you. She'll sneak it in there. I'm telling you, she'll sneak it in there. But you'll know.
Jason knows.
You'll know. So I think that's about it. Like, obviously there's other little things that I've messed up, and like I said, what effects go on up front, it flows into the back, because, you know, those are your guys that are turning the hours and actually putting in the work, you know. So yeah.
All right, Phil, what do you got? Phil's gonna be like, shut up.
Made some errors. What, yesterday? Made me an error. You
With you.
had a fuel line. So we got a set of 6 fuel injector lines that came in from Cummins. Apparently one was mislabeled or something. One of them was wrong. So Jody said something to the effect of, and correct me if I'm wrong because I probably am. And he said I took a picture of the one that was a duplicate, the one we didn't need, and I took a picture of the old one that we did need. I sent it over to the parts representative over at D&K. I sent them the picture of the one. I told them it's for cylinder 1. We need this. All right. And I was like, you know what? I can send it back with you. And I don't remember if I told you that or if you told me that. You see,
I told you, I'm like, I need this line. I'm putting the truck back together to make sure this code's gone. You have a picture of it. Send it over. It's cylinder 1. I need the line for cylinder 1.
Yep.
I did not get the line for cylinder 1.
You did not get the line for cylinder 1. Because it turns out I sent them back with another line that looked very similar to the one for cylinder 1 that I had in my hand earlier.
No, it didn't. I said, no, it didn't.
He definitely grabbed that out of the trash. We're not going to talk.
Dumpster diver.
Grabbed it out of the trash. So that was right next to where the parts were earlier when I had talked to him about it. Long story short.
What's so funny about
So
it?
it turns out we received the wrong part because I sent the wrong one out. I did send them pictures of the correct part that we needed, and I told them what we needed, but when a parts guy is going to receive a part in their hand and they're going to match it up, you know, I totally understand that they would get it wrong on me. So, yeah, that I screwed up. That was today.
Yeah.
Are we going to completely forget about the fact that they came at 2 o'clock? I tore the truck down, and then it's, oh, hey, it's the wrong line again.
It was, you know, honestly, shame on the parts delivery guy. He just showed up and just dipped out, like left everything on the shelf and just left without even like saying anything.
You could, yeah.
Vacation, off. Austin.
Yeah, I was going to say, without Austin, I will tell you what, and D&K, hear me now, without Austin, you're fucked, because that's a parts guy that cares about his job.
Like, I've never seen somebody come in so happy to deliver parts and then be so happy to go out back to his truck and grab a return slip like Austin.
Yeah.
Everybody else, they're like gone before you can be like, oh, we have a return. They're gone.
Yeah, and like he'll actually look at the return shelf, which is clearly labeled, and be like, "You got any returns?" Just in case they're not on the return shelf, he'll be like, "You got any returns?"
All right.
I got one coming for you. That's great, man.
He is one positive motherfucker. He really is. I mean, they
want
do a
whatever
really,
he's got.
yeah, they really do a good job. Like, he does a great job. No, he will literally say, "Oh, hey, I can't make it down to Garrett's, but I'll drop it off at Motor City. Are you going to go there in the morning?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Will you take it to Phil and Lincoln?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like, so they care about customer service. Now, the funny thing about that company is that it's employee owned. The employees are, it's an employee owned company. I'm not even going to act like I know what the fuck that even is. I know Jasper
It's
Engine.
fucking liberal.
They do a really good job taking care of us. They really do. I mean, I have no complaints. I mean, as far as that goes. But I'd like to talk about our culture in our shop, because one thing I'd like to drive home all the time is how we do stuff completely different. Yes, I am in your face. I will tell you, you're a fucking dumbass when you're a dumbass. But I'm fair and I try to treat people well. And what I say is what I do. I live by the. I'm just going to tell it the way it is, and we're going to go on from there. And if people don't like it, well, that's on them. And I think a lot of these shop owners talk about, or a lot of these podcasters actually, or TikTok influencers, whatever you want to call these guys, they always want to talk about, I want to change the industry. I want to change this. I want to change that. Well, like Ronald Reagan said, like, where does change start? It starts at the kitchen table, like with your kids, right? So I have done the same business the same way since he started. And you hear me tell the story, like, he was such a fucking asshole, and he's a little asshole when he started, but I've never changed, have I? I'm always the same guy. I'm like, I always tell you what's up. I don't freaking call punches. It's the way it is, and I think that's the best way to describe myself is, like, I want you guys to talk about working at the shops. I want to talk about the good things, the bad things, and everything, just to drive it home with people, like, this shit is real. What we do is real. How many other shop owners get everybody in their own podcast studio that we built in one of our buildings just so we can get online and talk about it? You know? Your daughter was sick. I freaking, my wife and me are calling you, or me, I don't think my wife did. I think she talked to Shelby, like, Lincoln walks, you need something. You live next door to me, okay? I don't live in a fucking mega mansion. You do. I live in the guest house.
The cottage.
The cottage, right? But, like, Phil's been around shops his whole life with his mom and dad. You owned a body shop. Jody, I want you to hear about your other employers that you worked at. I want to hear the truth about all this shit and how this shit goes down in our shop, because people just do not believe the way we do things. They think I am the biggest fucking liar in the world about when I say I do this. They're like, yeah, right. Like, they literally, when I said Jason is 10% owner, I gave him 10% of the shop because I thought after all the years he's going to take over from me, he should have ownership, right? Ownership. Jim Gray owns 10% of Motor City. Why? Because he helped me build it, right? He's here every day. But people don't believe it. They're like, so if you need new equipment, do these guys have to go in their pocket and write 10% of the equipment? What? Like, I had one guy saying that throws to their tax returns, they can do a tax write-off. This guy started going right down the thing with me, and I'm like, so are you a hockey fan? Because I thought to myself, is this guy a professional hockey player? Because he had some dude with a hockey jersey all over his Facebook. I'm like, there's no way you have like a hockey jersey, like a guy with like pictures of the guy, like it must be him. Nobody puts another dude on their Facebook like, I love this guy, he's the greatest. I'm thinking. So he started like questioning. It was a great inquisition. I went down the list with him, and I ended up being right. It's like, yeah, you can write stuff off if you're own, C corp and S corp and all. I'm not going to get into all that, but my point is, like, they're always trying to find the bad in everything. And I am trying to shed the light that there is good shop owners out there that take care of their people, okay? And the guys that are probably good guys that can't take care of their people, it's not because they don't want to, it's because they don't run their shop the right way, and they're not on the service advisors or on the technicians about doing their job right, or you know what I'm saying? So the shop just never gets to that next level where they can afford stuff because the owner's a fucking flake. Let me repeat that. Most of these owners of these shops are flakes. They flake out. They go out there. They don't know how to run their shop. So where they go? They go and yell at their employees. You need to work harder. You know, I'm going to pick up a new fucking boat tomorrow. This shit's getting stressful. I don't have enough money. Turn more hours. Like, how many times have you guys heard that over the years where we talk to these dealer techs and stuff like that where more. Now, on the other side of the coin, Jason said something. We know several techs that we met over the years at the dealers. Jason will be like, yo, can you do this for me? They'll be like, yeah, on my way to work. Jason's like, what, dude, it's like 8:30. Well, I'm not going to work till 10. I'm leaving at 2 because I'm doing this. You're like, but then they say they get fucked on flat rate by the dealer because they're never there, right? Mm-hmm. We see all that. So let's just go around the table again. I think this is just going to be one thing. We'll just keep doing circles of different topics. And, you know, from everybody's perspective, say anything you want. I don't care. Okay? Just as long as it's fucking the shit we rehearsed.
Don't hit me.
Yeah. Don't hit. Go, Jay.
So,
Let's talk about culture in our shop, how people fucking get yelled at. And the topic of the right now is how we get beat.
so
You don't do what you're supposed
Nobody
to.
understood that.
ever since I was little, that's pretty much how I learned is you mess up once, mess up twice, and after that, you're getting yelled at, and you need to change what you're doing, obviously, because it's wrong. So, you know, I first started out, I was 19, I think, 18, 19, and I was young, stupid, had a mouth on me. I still do a little bit, but not as much as I used to. And, you know, I thought I was doing everything right, thought I knew the greatest way to do everything, and come to find out, you never know everything. And first started out, it was kind of rough, but after that, after we got through the little hiccups and everything, and obviously they wanted the shop ran how they knew it should run because that's how it's going to be profitable. And I was young at the time and stupid, and you know, you don't always agree with them, but obviously they're in that position because of what they've done, and you should probably pay attention to them.
Yeah. To say you came in at like almost a turning point of our shop because our shop was not profitable.
Yeah.
It was a freaking disaster. And I mean, you started out, Steve had you come and help him with some stuff. He's like, I should hire this kid. I'm like, the kid's such a fucking asshole. Don't hire him. So Steve hired you anyway. And I'm like, okay, I don't know if I trust him or not. So I put you with Jim.
Yeah.
Well, that didn't work. Like 3 days later, they're out there screaming and shit. Jay's like, boss. Jay's like, you ain't my boss. Fuck. I'm like, oh my God. Okay, you're on your own. And I think that was pretty much it.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. And it was just, it's been uphill since then. And, you know, everything I was doing was not right. And you learn that over time, but it takes getting yelled at a few times. And I'm one of the ones, if you're not getting yelled at, it's not going to stick because you're not going to believe him or think he's on it, or how would I want to say?
Honest or trustworthy? Is that what you're going to say?
No, thinking he means it, I guess, is what
Sincere.
It's not about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And
It's not.
we had our little outs every once in a while, you know, but at the end of it, we realized I was wrong most of the time and just need to fix it. And I learned once I started listening to what he was telling me, Steve was telling me, that I actually started making more money. And ever since then, I've just got the mindset in my head that if he comes in the door and he doesn't have anything to say to me, I'm doing my job. And he's happy, I'm happy. And that's pretty much how I work during the week and throughout. We talk here and there, and it's fun to talk, but I know most of the time if he's talking to me, it's about something we've messed up or I messed up or told somebody to do that was wrong. And we work through it and we figure out the best way to handle that.
So basically, now that you have to frickin' sit there and deal with people not doing stuff, it changes the way you look at stuff, doesn't it?
It does. It changes a lot, and there's a lot more weight on your shoulders. because you want to do good, you want the shop to do good, and you want Kevin to do good, you want the business to do good, and there's 6 people that rely on my answers, my work, and everybody else's work in the shop. And if I'm not doing my job right, their job's not going good, and they're not making money.
Amen. Jody, you're up, big guy.
Coming from another shop, I'd like to add on about being yelled at from your last podcast, talking about getting yelled at, and you're real quick to the point, and you're get back to work, give me my money. Coming from the last shop, I've never really worked at a dealership. My last shop was an independent shop. I was flat rate at the time before I left, and it was, you need to get out there and make as much money as possible, turn the hours, we all got bills to pay, we all got mouths to feed. But it would come to a point where, like, something would happen in the shop that was beyond our control as a technician, and we would get stuck in an hour-long meeting, 2-hour-long meetings. He'd stop production all day just to yell at us for something that's out of our control. I don't want to get too personal into it, but, like, the whole, like, you got to turn more hours, I just bought a boat. It's kind of a true story. Also want to add in the fact that you talked on your last podcast that if at the dealership, if everyone came together and, we don't want to do these DVIs anymore, and, if you're going to pay us, we'll all do them. And if, everyone comes up to the manager, they're not going to fire everyone. That's not a true statement. It will happen. It did happen. I'm here now. Just coming from a shop that is not as efficient as the shop I'm at now is just it's different. I coming into work today, it's like, hey, what do you got going on? I got this, and this. Okay, how about we start on this, get this out, wrap this up, get the dollars out, and then start looking at your diags. But it would be completely opposite at the last shop I was at. We'd come in, we'd start working, halt production, boss comes in 2-3 hours late, yells at us, and then leaves for the rest of the day. And then there's no, it's nothing on our shoulders. It's all stuff that happens beyond the scenes that's out of our control. We're trying our hardest coming in every day, trying to push out all the hours we can, but we're still getting yelled at because we're not pushing enough hours because of somebody else's ne'er-do-welling, is the best way to put it, I guess.
You sound really smart on that whole rant, by the way.
That's really all I got, to be honest.
So I remember when you got terminated from your old shop, and you called me and you're like, hey, I just lost my job, and I'm like, all right, what are you making? You're like, X, and I'm like, okay, I'll give you Z, and you're like, I'm in. I'm like, all right, you want to bring your tools down? You're like, yep, I'm waiting for a tow truck. I'm like, okay. Then a few minutes later, like, hey, can you come and help me? I was told I needed to take him off the property. I'm like, sure. Our shop is in an industrial park, and the other shop is in an industrial park. I get on the forklift, and I start driving down the road. I look, this poor motherfucker's pushing his big-ass toolbox down the middle of the road.
He's got
two,
a
not
double,
one.
He's got
there
a
was
double.
two toolboxes.
Yeah, you got a double-decker, freaking triple.
It's like a freaking condo.
Yeah.
It's like when they move the houses on the freaking trucks down the road, oversized load.
Yeah.
I felt like the Amish having nothing, dude. I was just pushing my box across the street.
So I'm like, I picked you up and took you down there and dropped you in the shop and stuff like that. But, you've honestly been like a breath of fresh air. I mean, we found Nick. He moved in next door. And then we got you. I mean, we had not had young blood. And anybody who says, oh, I just hired more techs, good fucking luck nowadays. You could find a decent mechanic. They're usually a shitty person, most of them. You could freaking make an okay mechanic that's a good person, a good mechanic. To find you two guys, I mean, we're actively looking all the time. You kind of fell into our lap, literally.
You fell into my lap, if anything.
So, all right, let's talk about first time me and Nick met. Nick had his septic fucking field on the house he was buying across my private brown drive road.
Yeah. I just wanted to talk about more about how everyone keeps talking about getting yelled at, and you do yell at us when we deserve it and everything like that. But I was going to say, to the opposite effect, like our shop camaraderie is like super good. Like how you were saying when I first moved in, like we became friends. I'm gonna say almost instantly. Like maybe not right away. I don't know what you were talking about me behind the scenes, but anyhow, it was like within talking, within a couple weeks or whatever. Before I even knew these guys, I was out on your back porch drinking beer and hanging out, and it was like I didn't even know you had a shop. I didn't know any of that. Like we were cool, we were friends and everything like that. So then when I did start working at the shop and I meet all these guys and everybody's cool, like our group is small, and like you said, we've all got good attitudes. We all got this. Yeah, we screw up and we get yelled at and we move on. It's not like oh man, I'm all down because we got yelled at. We just move on, and then how many times have maybe when you're not around, how many times have we pulled in a truck that's got snow on it and start a snowball fight in the shop? Like, yeah, it goes against the, losing money for a flat rate guy, but we have fun in the shop, and, we all eat lunch together every day. Like, we get yelled at, but it doesn't really, we earned it. We deserved it. Something got messed up along the lines that caused us to get yelled at. If we didn't mess anything up, we wouldn't get yelled at. We wouldn't get critiqued. We could start saying critiqued instead of yelled at, and people be like, oh, these guys are really good guys, critiquing his guys. So that's really my take on it all. Stuff happens. It is what it is.
Yeah, and I don't harp on it. Like I
Right.
fucking yell at you guys, and there's a lot of yelling. Apparently, I'm a yeller.
That's what I like. Especially in this podcast, we've been talking about like the times we've all gotten yelled at, but like I would say, it's a 10-1 to times we're not getting yelled at, but times to compared to the times we are. So I don't know. It just seems like there's a lot of negativity coming off, but really it's all positive. I think anyway.
No, I think we all get along pretty good, and I do bitch at you guys, and I don't necessarily yell, but I bitch, and a lot of times, like, Phil pisses me off more than anybody.
Phil gets yelled at, I think, more than anybody, but
He has obviously got yelled at a lot in his life, 'cause he looks at you like this. I understand, Kev. You're like, fucking do something. He's like, I got you. All right, let me go back.
Push over.
We get around, I'll be like, okay.
All right, Lincoln, you're up.
Well, I think I can give a good I'll put a good perspective on it coming straight out of high school and then taking a week and then working at my dad's shop. I think that coming out of high school, like I like being around everybody in here except one person, just because you have a brain, you don't have a brain, you have a brain. You. But like over the course of being in high school, I lost friends I actually lost all my friends because I've figured out
My friend died.
Okay.
We're gonna go.
So I lost all my friends because I understood how the world worked more, and everybody was doing this, partying, drinking, and this shit. And coming into Garrett's is okay, I can relate with all of you guys because you guys think the same way as me, and I don't, it's not like everybody at fucking high school. The yelling part, I've dealt with that my whole life, not just from you, from my mom too. She, like I said, she slips it in there. But so it's definitely
From me.
yeah, especially from you. Lincoln, shut the fuck up. When I first came into Garrett's, I felt like I was put through a pace grammar test. I was tested by, you all gave me shit, but at the end of the day, it's okay, we're all here. It's nice, like I said, being around people with brains. So that's the way I look at it.
All but one.
All
He's
but
around
one.
me the most.
Yeah,
That
and
implies
you
something.
rub off. You definitely rub off. Faux show.
I would.
I fixed myself from a pretty detrimental error, though. It's the other day, you started asking me questions, and I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, oh, yeah, I remember. That's a Phil. I was like, you're starting to turn to Phil. I was going down the Phil path, and I was like,
Dynamic duo.
All right, Phil, what do you got for us?
Shocker.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. What's the topic?
Culture and how
So,
we bitch at people. Apparently, I yell at everybody.
You're a yeller,
Hey,
but you're
you're-
a lover.
You're truthful. I feel like a good way to put it is you're truthful. You don't yell at people. You're just truthful, and
Brutally honest.
that's like you said. People, yeah, with a loud voice. That's what I'm saying is like
Explosively honest.
people nowadays across the world never say the truth. It's always sugar coated, and I think once you say the
Or
truth,
lies.
people
Yeah.
people are shocked that you just call them out on their bluff and shit, and it's like, what, I'm just doing, I'm trying to save you. Like the other day, I'm not gonna name who, but you put a zip tie.
You.
Service partners.
Yeah, you put a zip tie on your thing to prevent something from happening, and then they call, why is a zip tie on the back of my tailgate? It's like, Jason's like, okay, dick. I put a zip tie to prevent something from happening in the future, and it's like things like that. It's just
Because your zip ties that were on there to begin with were garbage, and like one of them was broken, so your thing was being held on by one crappy zip tie. I just put new ones on there for you, so you don't lose it on the road, causing you a problem after all the thousands of dollars you just spent.
And I didn't put them on the work order either.
Yeah,
Yeah, there you
free
go.
of charge. Freaking flat rate guy over here.
Flat rate. Oh, the other flat rate guys are going to get you. They're doing shit for free, making them all look bad. Yeah.
You made some money.
Yeah, you could have made like $3 off that. Holy fuck. You could have bought a half a monster. Yeah. So it's,
Quit now. He's clean.
oh, you're monster free?
I tried to get him last year. I tried to get him along the road. I don't know. I think it was before I started.
I tried to get
before
him in a row. It's like Walking Dead.
Before
He's like
I started,
Carl.
before I started working, Jason, I'm like, you want anything from the gas station? He was like, yeah. I was like, before I asked what the guys wanted, and I come back, I was like, oh yeah, Jason drinks, not Gatorade, fucking Monster, and I came back with the fucking one of the screw cap ones, the big ones. Here you go, Jason. Jason's like, bro, I quit like last year. Nick's like, I'll take it.
Future recoverer.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, culture-wise, I'm in the same boat. I'm, like I said in the previous podcast, where my family has a body shop over in Schiller Park, Illinois. I'm
Plug
used
'em.
to, huh?
Plug them.
M&V Auto Body. M&V Auto Body in sales, Schiller Park, Illinois. 428 Sioux Line Lane, baby. 847-678-2788. But my family is great. I love my family, and I've been around the shop, M&V, my whole life, basically. I also had my CDL. When I wasn't working at M&V, I was driving a truck. My uncles are truck drivers. I've driven for them too. And now, when I moved to Michigan, I was driving a semi. Then after that, I interviewed over here, and I got a job at a semi-mechanic, or not just semi-mechanic shop, but, a mechanic shop that happens to also repair trucks. And I feel like I haven't skipped a beat because I can just do whatever. I'll just burst into songs sometimes. Actually, you think I'm joking. Or just, you can say whatever you want.
Singing. We're waiting for Nick.
Yeah.
He's singing the whole
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or hitting the donkey in the middle of the shop while checking in parts.
Yeah, might be autistic. I don't know, but
Coming from another autist, yeah.
true. Agree.
Preach, brother.
But it's a place where you take your work seriously, but you could also just have fun with it. There's a certain kind of relaxation that you can't get in, say, a corporate job, where you have to I was going over the emails yesterday, and I noticed an omission, and I really wanted to talk about that because I feel like it reflects poorly on our corporate policy, shit like that. You don't have to you don't have that over you. Of course, we have our own challenges that we deal with over here, and there's a lot of challenges that we deal with that a corporate job ain't going to deal with. I'll tell you that. But
Yeah. And we probably definitely don't deal with the way the corporate job would deal with
yeah,
it.
definitely not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very.
We tell people to get off the bus. Get off the bus. Brakes are set.
And we see some fun stuff too. We have a lot of funny experiences that happen, like today.
Dude, it's, yeah.
Yeah. Today, let's take an intermittent break and talk about freaking.
Talk into this. It's a microphone.
Okay, yeah. Let's talk about today, Jason.
Training. So.
I mean, man, that was some crazy shit.
That was crazy, but awesome.
So there's a gas station right in front of our shop, and we tend to go over there for snacks, drinks, whatever. We'll go over there.
Multiple times a day. I'm a
We
flat
have
rate
the
tech.
Garrett gut.
We have so, one other topic is lunch.
Oh,
Yeah, we got to talk about lunch time.
okay.
No, boy. Well, I wasn't there. I was just giving you guys the intro.
It was basically it was Jason. You know, Jason was walking over and he was just walking over through our little alley. It's like we have a container next to our building,
By
and
Methany's
then
house.
yeah, but, and then we have bushes.
By Meth Alley.
Yeah,
We call
Meth
it-
Alley.
Yeah, we call it
So,
Methany.
It kind
Yeah,
of
girl,
comes
that-
out. It kind of comes out. The alley comes out to a grass spot. It's like literally a little play yard kind of, and then
It really was.
It's a
Yeah.
meth alley.
yeah, and then it comes out to the back of the gas station where you walk around and things like that. So and Jason's walking through, and Jason sees some crazy shit happening. So he comes back and he's like, guys, you got to see this.